Sashi
Pegi Jojima Dokyan Vira
Vijini Degyamati
Sange Jinumite
Uai Rugunanda
Shinga
Shiva
Chepa Jo Guru Rama Mandala Kame Ata Amen.
Sange
Chida Zoke Chonanda Chancho Fatu
Ane Jasushi
Dage Shinin Guru Zonange Tola Penje Sange Parasho
Sange
Chida Zoke Chonanda Chancho Fatu
Ane Jasushi
Dage Shinin Guru Zonange Tola Penje Sange Parasho
Sange
Chida Zoke Chonanda Chancho Fatu
Izuchi
Dage Shinin Guru Zonange Tola Penje
Sange Dadi Da Kazandi Dimandi Yana Dada Umewe Mawan Javanam Seshtuba.
Yes. So where we got to is, if you look at page 132, second paragraph, where it says, therefore, those who currently claim to teach the meaning of Madhyamaka, starting there.
Dube.
No, let it.
Yana Dada Umewe Mawan Javanam Ranshi Mevala. Gesha Gesha Soki Kinde Miruna. Shaba Mawani Mubba Mavi Luinbe said Dube.
Let it.
Oh, the Denmark.
So that's where we're starting from, that paragraph there, second one down from the top on page 132.
Da Denmark the Gondi Shevatiri Gudent Mademberva. Gondu Dash Shevatiri Gudent Madrin. Dena Dade Ume Demawa Javanam. Rashi Mevala Kecha Kecha Soki Kunde Mirunge. Chaba Mawani, Mobo Mave, Louis Bess, that Dade Ume Demawa Setatinala. Chidana give a mencheti, Riba, Rangiba Dine, Maraba, any Ume Demawa, that and give a Nashin Dunya Mambiarba. What do so? To Suki Karasina Ume Demawa Devanam. Rashi Mevala Keja Keji Sogi Chachi Lungumaris Keja Keji Chachi Tevala Rashing Druku Res Labrava Miru Chaba Mawani Mobile Mavilu Beta Tinde Seati Chidangobu Maviluis Mobu Tintu to Mavilu is here, Dangobu Mavilus, Mobu Timber to Chenime. That Murma was in the top, symptom of Mechetriva. Some major ticket move timber to a killing barba. Some move Mawas again. Ganjuba think timber to a killing Yamarti, Rashing to a killing by Yasani. Mumma to the cheaper to you will Lucena. Just a book Marashi never get a kitchen. Mumma will look in base or the teacher.
No. So it says, therefore, those who currently claim to teach the meaning of Madhyamaka are actually giving the position of the essentialists when they hold that all cause and effect, such as the agents and objects of production, are impossible or unsuitable, in the absence of intrinsic existence. So the thing is, okay, so when it says therefore, it means taking the above as a reason. So taking that as a reason, those who currently claim to teach the meaning of Madhyamaka are actually giving the position of the essentialists. So this is talking about when we say the essentialists, sometimes I think they call them realists. Anyway, essentialists here it says that would refer to like those who propound things. Literally, it's proponents of things. What it means is those who propound things as truly existent. So that actually refers to the Chittamatra and below. The Chittamatras say that there are things which are truly existent, and also the schools below say that. So the Svatantrikas don't say that there are things which are truly existent, right? They're Madhyamikas. They don't say they say there's nothing which is truly existent. But because of the fact that they say that if things are empty of existing by their own nature, then the cause and effect would not function, wouldn't work, and that in order for cause and effect to work, then things have to exist by their own nature. Therefore, they, as far as the Prasangika is concerned, what they're saying is like the same as the realist position. No.
That is ngamawe lu yimbe stati yimbe insani tanda keje rashingi tubal rashingi mabala keje te mare si ngamawe lu res ngamawe lu yinsa tang gombu lu tu ke sheba tang gombu lu tu ke sheba de karesina gombu lu tu ke sheba gyuta ken didan dila tene jebu dida di kewatan gabe yundegi namsha nila tenis ranshingi tongbatan ume lam zekuba indi ta gombu lu tu ke luki ta oma panamki gombu lu tu ke luki ani shidu di tekube gombu lu tu ke kare sumbaresina gyuta ken dida dila tene jebu dida di kewatan gabe jebu dida di ken dila tene kewas ken dila tene gaba siyarabdi gyundegi namsha yinla tene gyundegi namsha dila tene ranshingi tonga tubaris ranshingi dila tene ranshingi tongba dan ume lam zekuba indis ta ume lam dila tene ranshingi tongba dida ume lam zekuba ris ta gombu lutuki luchi di zekuba ris ta di ta dortune gombu lutuki lula yele tene gyula tene drebu chunga dida di gyula tene drebu dida di chunga ri ani ken gyuje shenla gyuje ganshila tene ani drebu di gaba gyuje ganshila tene kiwa gyuje ganshila tene gabe gyunde namsha nila tene ni rashime batiri tubaris ta kanje tene litale tene rashime batubarwa rashi tomba tang ume lam zekuba indis ume lam di namsha di mbulu tubulu sheba insan di zekuba indis ta zekuba indis di rabji nishibale zesi zu di rabji nishibale sheba re对了rabji nishibale pabe denpa tabes ranshingi metomba la jungji so ponde gita namsha tamje miruwe chui da ranshingi tonga la dada tamje ruwe chui jabar tala pabe na rabji shen tamje gi 칠거가 이노세 때때 랍진 20대 쳤다. 뒤에 랍진 20대 다 치주디 시행 거래. 때때 랍진 20대 다 가리시게서나 파베 템바시 파베 템발라 탑데스 신기 동발라 중지 중화단 지발라 소바다 고아다 양양에 대한 남샤 탐지 란신기 메동발라 란신기 메동발라 중지다 고아단 양양에 대한 남샤 미롱아레스 고아단 메동발라 라신기 줌나스여봐 라신기 메동발라스는 라신기 줌바이나 중지다 아니 콘데스 코아다니 양을 때를 남샤 미루와이 수당 라신기 동발라 대다 탐지 루에 주 개버를 때나 팔면나 랍진이 시버디 랍지디 랍지시 탐지를 칠 거가 있는 랍진 20대 다 개치 수진 그 랍진 20대 랍지 자외시를 랍지 시행을 칠구리스디 덴딜레 심에 주다 심에 인선 덴딜이 남샤 테버디 남샤디 랍지 간걸 칠구리스 다디 제스디 랍지 20대 지시에 시주디
Then it goes on to say, thus Nagarjuna the protector holds that one must seek the emptiness of intrinsic existence and the middle way on the very basis of the teachings of cause and effect, that is, the production and cessation of specific effects independent upon specific causes and conditions. And the 24th chapter, then he goes on to mention the 24th chapter. So what this is saying is that in the middle way system, in other words, the system of the savior Nagarjuna, or the protector Nagarjuna. According to this, then, production of specific results, and also the cessation of specific results, depending upon specific cause and conditions, that all works on the basis of everything being empty of existing by their own nature. So in brief, we can say that Nagarjuna's position is that this and that cause will give rise to this and that result. So you have the, what do you call it, results ceasing depending upon specific cause and conditions, and being produced depending upon specific cause and conditions. And that's the middle way, Nagarjuna's system, that all of this works on the basis of being empty of existing by their own nature. And so mainly to understand this, we need to look at the 24th chapter of the Mula Madhyamaka Karika, which is the chapter which analyzes the 4 Arya truths and bring that understanding to all the other chapters. You understand from that chapter, the 24th, which is how all of the whole process of cause and effect, the arising and the destruction, the whole process of cyclic existence and nirvana, beyond suffering, that all of these work only in the context of being empty of existing by their own nature, on the basis of not being empty of their own nature. In other words, existing by their own nature, then none of that would work. And this is all explained extensively in that chapter, the 24th chapter. And so this is why the 24th chapter is the most important. It's through studying the 24th chapter that you understand that because everything is empty of existing by their own nature, therefore the whole process of dependent arising works. Because being dependent arising, therefore everything is empty.
Rabdi Nishibales. Rabdi Nishibal Sunjude. Rabdi Nishibale. Tenji Jever Juakan. Dini Tombani to shares. Tenji Jever Juakan in Bati. Dini Tombani to share. Rashing Tombares. Tendi yes and rashing Tombares here. Just at Mamawagi Tendi, you know. Ne rashing to Greece. And the Bumbulu to get that Raji Mishipale. Tenji Debrachua Kain Bati, Tombani to shares in a rashing to the Tombares. Dine tene tapati, dine umelaminos, ta tenje debrachua kans, dine tomba nitu sheseti, tendi ki, yeda seseti, tenje debrachua la tene yeda seti, nawe yeda sesi yeti tendi gere, nawa te tendi riba, ta rangi ba mencheti na, Nave meta sesurva. Now sit tended but tended yes and tiny to never marry Sierva. Then this Umateju Nave yeta says. Now yes and then the devil to my yes and yeta yeta in the Rashik to better. Rashik to better yeta. Rashing Yoban Zimbe Lotele Yebe Tundisiget. He is a Editavaju Insani Tombani is Rashing to the Tombares, now you tell Seva the share.
Rangi mentioned was an Nawe meta.
Now it's better. Then the is a Tenji is any tiny to never marry Yari, Sigurba, you just say second. You just say meta says the meta said the tiny to mercy at the metas.
So then we have this quotation from the 24th chapter where it says that which arises dependently we explain as emptiness. Okay, so as just empty or just empty. So these looking at these two lines. So the first line is saying whatever is a dependent arising is empty. In fact, that's what these two lines are saying. Sorry, what these two lines are saying is whatever is a dependent arising is empty, and what that means is empty of existing by its own nature. So for the essentialists, the normal, anything which is a dependent arising has to exist by its own nature, or has to be established by its own nature. And now what it's saying in this 24th chapter, what Nagarjuna is saying in this 24th chapter is that anything which is dependent arising has to be empty of existing by its own nature. So what these two lines are doing is what's called eliminating the extreme of existence. So this is this contrasts with the position of the Swatantrikas below, for whom appearances, which means dependent arising, appearances dispel or eliminate the extreme of non-existence. So the extreme of non-existence, you have to understand what this means is things not even existing conventionally. So that's the extreme of non-existence. So for them, the fact that things are dependent arising, that dispels the extreme of non-existence, because it dispels the extreme of not even existing conventionally. Whereas in the Prasangika system, appearances dispel the extreme of existence, because again, you know, appearances, that means the dependent arising, the independent arising, that dispels the extreme of existing by their own nature.
Tadi nawe yudase timba.
No.
Tadi kita lagi be lule jene nawe yudase yube solchire. Bina nyugu chiji tembar meti tenri imbichir. Tenri ki tala dine nyugu tembar meti segi yarba. Dire de xia nawe yudase tombe meti se tingi be keju yinse yati. Tadi Rashi Gutube Yuta Senate, Rashi Gutube Yuta Sati. Did it taking the cage my 2 moment be casual, but then the Rashingi Yabati Sayati. Now Yuta Sayati. Now attended the tenny Rashingi to be Yuta Sayasena. Did it with Chida? Now it just 70. Like you really use several surgery. You which is temperament, tendy image, tendy talatini into Segirva. The temper to what the Tarva. There's a in the Tombani to share said the Yuta said the issue. That didn't it tabati, didn't umelaminus. That didn't it tabatis. Tomba ninis, then it tabatis. Tomba insa, then it race, then it you are race, shiva into. Method severe. Dinis, then a top of the city. Rushing Tomba Tela, net tending and I'm shut is shivering. Then a top of this in the tenant you want is rushing Tomba Tini, then a taban, then it you are is Natiri Tombe. Medicine.
Tombe meta.
Tombe medicine. Tombe medicine. Dino umelaminus. The umelam seti. Tiny the terre. Utilia umasierva. Just a tiny buticares in you tata metani buterva. Then now you tatis. Tombe metatis sesuna. Rajibe Lulina, Manjig Lulina, Nave Metasis, Tombe Utasis, Dilula, Tombe Metase, Tapran Chejuba, Nave Utasis, Tombe Metasis, Dinit. Then tapati, then umelamino, the is a tiny the jeva utila. Umelam series, series, said she.
No. Okay, so although you know, so we just said that that in the present geek system, the extreme appearances eliminate or dispel the extreme of existence, in contrast to the Swatandrika system and below. Actually, though, if you think about it, it seems like one should. We need to say that in the essentialist systems also the what you call it, the appearances dispel the extreme of existence, right? Actually, it seems like you should say that. Why? Because according to the within the Swatandrika system, for example, you would say the subject, the sprout is not truly existent because it's dependent arising. So in that case, the dependent arising is used as a logical proof that the sprout is not truly existent. In other words, so the sprout being truly existent would be the extreme of existence, right? So dependent arising has been used to dispel the extreme of true existence. So then it doesn't look like it is unique to the present geeky system, does it? So the thing is that what is unique to the present geeky system, when we talk about it's unique to them, that the extreme of existence is negated by the sorry. So we have to say the present in the essential system that the dependent arising or appearances negate the extreme of existence. But what's unique to the Prasangika system is that dependent arising and appearances dispel or refute the extreme of existence by its own nature. Okay, not just true existence, but existence by its own nature. So that's one thing. Then when we go on to the next two lines, this is dependent designation. So this refers to the emptiness, right? So we explain this emptiness. This, that which is just empty, or which is emptiness, is dependent arising, and this is the middle way. So what this is saying is that that which is just empty, or emptiness itself, is also what does it say? Dependently designated. Dependently designated. I want to try to stick to the terms in the text, the English translation as much as I can. So is dependently designated. So what that means is that so for what this is saying is that for that which is empty, or within being empty, the dependent designation it works. It's viable. So in other words, emptiness is dispelling the extreme of non-existence. So when you're saying because it's empty, it's therefore a dependent designation. So that's dispelling the extreme of non-existence. So then when it says umilamino, this is the middle way. So the middle way, the center is what it's the center of, is what it's free of, is the two extremes. In other words, the extremes of existence and non-existence. So again, in the Swatantric system and below, the appearances dispel the extreme of non-existence, and emptiness dispels the extreme of existence, right?
Sorry,
Existence in it.
Can you just repeat that again, please?
Yeah, if you let me finish first though. Then in this system, because some people might have been able to follow it. So according to the Swatantrika system and below, appearances dispel the extreme of non-existence, and emptiness dispels the extreme of existence. In this system, the appearances dispel the extreme of existence. In other words, dependent arising dispels the extreme of existence, and emptiness dispels the extreme of non-existence. So that's like a summary of what I've just explained.
Tati Tini tomba tenji dreva juwaka, tini tomba nitu she situ tamba. Tenji insani zanshingi tuke tomba ri situ kari yota sesunga. Tenji insan ani zanshingi tuke tomba ri situ te nawa tenji ki Raishingi yobati sesunga. Tenji insani, tini tomba nitu she, raishingi tuba tomba re, situ raishingi tuba di kagi yaraba. Ya tini tene tabati sini, raishingi tomba insani, tene taba, tene junga res, junje rabati, junje raishingi tomba insani, ni tene taba, rangi cheshila tene taba, rangi cheshila tene jumati. Re situ, ani tombe meza sesunga. Tene taba jis, ranshingi juba la, ani tene namsha tege re situ, ranshingi tona megu, karasure, ranshingi tomba tege tene. Tombe meta tese raishingi tona ani mebar vesineta raishingi tona yang ani tene tapati te rangi chashila tene ama rangi chujenda tene tapati tabam juanti tegiri situ ta tomba ki meta sesunga ti meta seti Ona mebar raishingi mena mebar vesina Maris tene tapatis, tini tene tapatis tu. Raishingi mebe tene jajini namsha terti shebaraba. Dinsani meta sesi.
And so, just to go through this a bit more, what it's saying is that because of being, here we're looking at the first two lines, that which arises dependently, we explain sentence. Because of being a dependent arising, therefore, it's empty of true existence. And this, what that means is, therefore, the extreme of existence has been refuted or dispelled, eliminated. And so what that means is that appearances, in other words, dependent arising, the existence by its own nature, that extreme existence by its own nature. And then it goes on to say, this is dependent designation, and this is the middle way. So this is dependent designation means emptiness of existing by its, because of being empty of existing by its own nature, therefore it is designated by through dependent, in other words, dependently designated, which means designated or arising through depending upon its parts and so forth. So therefore we can see that being empty dispels the extreme of non-existence. And then when we say because it's empty of existing by its own nature, well, does that mean that it doesn't exist at all? And the answer is no. Though it's empty, being empty of its own nature, it's designated depending upon parts and so on. And what this shows is that what this is showing is that within the context of being empty of existing by its own nature, still agents and actions and so on all function.
Tati rangi belule tine che tenri tenzi la ribe chabu shi charbis. Tajali thani jija tu se chiche. Te chiyasan tingi rangi balule tenri tenzi tila ribe chabu se kuya tili. Tajali thani jija tu se giri chabwa. Te se dikare sini nyugu chiji tenpa me tenri imbe che siri. Nyugu tendu tenri nge imbe tamba meta di se.
Conta ti yang yu sorma conta.
Di
Nyugu chejin dora.
nyugu chiji tenpa me di tenri imbe che siri bara.
Nare.
Digi tajiri ta jija tu se se dikare sini tenzi dagarangi tenzi ngebe ta nge choju nge imbe meta se.
Ale chojo ge du.
Meta se tenzi nyugu tendu tenzi nge imbe
Nare.
meta di se. Dine tuja nge imbe yeda di se. Tuja tenpa meba terba. Tuja nge imbe tenpa tuba di se arba. Taji tani se se di dirba. Rangi belule tenji tenji di taji tani jija segre sen mas sen ta di rangi be kabi share. Tenji shinda tu sugi ena chitu je tenji se atiki meta se yeta se nyugu chuje tembar meti tindu bichi tu meve cherba. Tindu bichi tu me situ choju meti tindu bichi tu meva tikabra. Tindu bichi tu tubati kajer yetarba.
Tucha. Tucha.
Dati
No. Tis mandas. Tis sebuji mason. Sebushira buji mason.
Ale ore tenji chitu de tenji je. Ne mushike go tenji te tinde bambu charba tenji na yare. Ten karesa. Temi tuji tenji na yare. Tinde tenji tile ready ke busle. Tati taji thani ga sigris. Shenda to su taji tapena nyugu chuje temba meti tendu bichita tumakaru tumakre chislabina. Te niga gi yeta meta sirie. Choju ge de tendu bichitu mebne barba. Tujane de tendu temba mebti ne barba. Ta saya niga de meta sirie. Tenji tigi meta de yeta niga sirie. Karesne choju ge meta se tujane yeta tserva. Tadi tigitu ta ale taji tani jija se di. Nare yita se di. Nare tingi belu nare yita se bari. Nare gibelu nare yita sing marbesina. And sing mena ni tenji gitala tene tendu kapa marbesina. Tendu di yadarba. Ten rangi belula tenji gitala tene tendu kapa ai.
Kapare.
Which temper me tenji image.
No.
Then now tenji yeta sesuma.
Nare.
No, yeta sesuma.
Thank you, Bilula.
Rangi belula.
Thank you, Bilula. Thank you, Bilula.
You could temper me tenji image. Kugurva.
No, Nare.
Tenji gitaki. Rashi tuba temper tuba kapa ai.
Nare.
Temper tuba de yetarva.
Yotare. Oh, la la.
Oh, Tendi Talatini, you the Sesuma.
La la la. La la la.
Now you the Sesuma.
Now you does it.
Oh, I see. Now you the Sesuma. The Teju to my vacation here.
No,
Now you the say, don't let me say. Not the lady now you the Sesama and you got it to that. See, just that. Thank you, Balatini. Thank you, baby. Thank you, but I think teacher in now you just said then you say at a then situation. She told then situation. She to the career. Then sit around to the cover. Wrong to us in a rushing to us in a chibarva. Then, but is in a around to the career, Raman to the career. June Senana, Raman Matuna, never vesine, never marry. You generate in jewelries, June Seatigi. Then June Seatigi, then Seatigi. You just say,
no,
June Seatigi, Metase. Then situation Barashiki Yamaris, then did Sierra. I see many never person, never marry. You generate in jewelries, June Seatigi. That thing June said, cheap of a chili. You that Metaniga says, you go the regular late we vessel.
no.
Then a join is a Meba said it. Then by it, Rangi Chasham, you generate them by Yasan, and but never but to the girl to her. Junes in it only temper maybe in never in Maris. Again, it in jewelries. That is the
Yota did the temperature at the Shana and it Ranjing Yoba the Chena and it.
Yeah, she was in it. That's the thing you will miss you, Marva. That is. Rebecca said the regular Paginali, Rebecca said the Taji Tani Sierra. You sending now the said the city vessel Chilierba. That I think
no.
But what say to Yerba? Say two sene killing Yerba. Killing Yerba, the thing you wish she said in it, and but Dogi Amara.
No.
Never told her rising never told.
Oh, the Choju and the Choju Temple. Choju.
Choju Timothy.
And at the New Jersey Demamete and a Choju Kagire.
You would temper me. Then you would tend in, but you would tend in, but to Choju to wear.
To get it Demamete.
You have to get in the neighborhood. Choju need. You that say, to Jang method server. Amara, Choju need metase. To Jang you the server.
So now, in the Swatandric system, you have they have the idea that they talk about the reasoning of dependent arising. They describe it as the king of logic, or the king of reasons, right? And the reason for this is that with that one reason, when you say because of being independent arising, right? For example, the sprout as a subject is empty of true existence because of being a dependent arising. So that the reason there, or the logical sign, or the sign, is dependent arising, and it's being used to prove that the sprout is empty of true existence, right? So that one logical reasoning dispels both extremes. So this is also something that the Prasanghikas would say, that the reasoning of dependent arising for negating true existence is the king of reasons, and that it dispels both extremes. Now, in the Swatantrika system, so they would say then that the sprout, seed and sprout. So sprout as a subject is empty of true existence, or sorry, it doesn't exist truly because it's a dependent arising. So then for them, we have this expression, the chocho, so that's usually the property of the subject. What that means is when you ascertain, when you understand that the sprout is a dependent arising. So in other words, when we say property of the subject, it's kind of like that reason dependent arising is a property of the subject, the sprout. Otherwise, it wouldn't work as a reason for showing that it's empty of true existence, would it? So they say that the property of the subject dispels the extreme of non-existence, and that the thesis, the druja, that which is to be proved, which in this case would be that the sprout is not truly existent, that dispels the extreme of existence, right? So then, just to give an idea then of how special this reasoning is, because it's simultaneously dispels both extremes. There are actually they talk about 5 reasons for proving that things are not truly existent. So one of them would be, for example, the reasoning of being free of truly existent one and many. And so that wouldn't be able to dispel both extremes at once. In the case of the dependent arising, which they call both of them, the Swatantrika and Prasanghikas, both call the extreme of, the reasoning of, they call the reasoning of dependent arising the king of reasons. It's the only one that can dispel both extremes. So if you were to say, if you look at the reasoning of one and, being free of truly existent one and many, so then what you would say is that the subject, the sprout, is not truly existent because it's not truly existent one or truly existing many. So in that case, you're only dispelling the reason is only able to, that reasoning is only able to dispel the extreme of existence. So the property of the subject would mean realizing, to ascertain that would mean realizing that the sprout is free of truly existing one and truly existing many. So that dispels the extreme of existence, right? The truly existing one, truly existing many, and that's being used to prove, so that to prove that the sprout is not truly existent. So when you ascertain that the sprout is not truly existent, again you've only dispelled the extreme of existence. So that reasoning doesn't simultaneously dispel the reasoning, the two extremes of existence and non-existence. Whereas in the case of the reasoning of dependent arising, when you ascertain the property of the subject, in other words, that it's the sprout is a dependent arising, that dispels the extreme of non-existence. And then when you realize the thesis, in other words, that the sprout is not truly existent, that's dispelled the extreme of existence. Extreme existence would be true existence, right? And so true existence, the true existence is the extreme of existence, right? When we say true existence, or when we say in other words, when we say the extreme of existence, that's talking about true existence, the extreme of true existence. And the appearances dispel that. remember, appearances, in other words, dependent arising, dispels that extreme, the extreme of existence. And so in the Swatantrika system, they would say that that dispels the extreme of existence. In the Prasangika system, so basically what it comes down to is that if you just talk about the two extremes, where the extreme of existence means true existence, is taken to be true existence, they would both say that the reasoning of dependent arising dispels these two extremes, the extreme of existence and the extreme of non-existence. So what's unique to the Prasangika system is that they take the extreme of existence to be existing by its own nature. And so actually in the Prasangika system, you can realize and you dispel the extreme of existence because the reasoning is all, aimed at dispelling existence by its own nature. And they would say that in the Swatantrika system, even though they talk about this reasoning, I mean, in the Abhisamalankara, it talks about the king of which is taught from the Swatantrika point of view. They talk about the king of reasoning dispelling the two extremes. Actually, when you understand the extreme of existence in the way that the Swatantrikas do, then they actually don't. They are not actually able to dispel the extreme of existence, because actually to dispel the extreme of existence, you have to dispel or refute the extreme of existence by its own nature. So in other words, what the Prasangikas would say is that the Swatantrikas don't dispel the extreme of existence, and they don't realize the emptiness, the emptiness of that extreme, because they don't realize that things are empty of existing by their own nature. So then in the Prasangika system, even when we look at the this one word, dependent arising, dependent, okay, because so dependent, that one word dependent negates the extreme of existence. Dependent. If it's dependent, it can't exist by its own nature. So dependent extreme eliminates the extreme of existence by its own nature. So then when the question comes up, well, if it doesn't exist by its own nature, does that mean it doesn't exist at all? Then the rest of the phrase solves that question, answers that question, because it says dependent arising. Dependent and arising. Dependent means it's not, it doesn't exist by its own nature. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It does, in fact, arise through depending upon causes and conditions and so forth. And therefore, that one word, dependent arising, dispels both extremes.
No. Sem zambak sigriba, yuguti temperaturis, rashig tubaris sigriba. Titsui Tati Manadur Virgin, Yukurashig tuba maris, Dedis, Chojus here, Yuguti Tuishije, Tachigi, Yuguti Rashig tubaris, sigriba. Tati Umavi. Shows me around to be, and you could Rashid to Maris. Carades in a good danger was. You get tended to ballet in a jungle to gas in digital cover. He is an digital coin, but you chose you to do it. Cranky. Carades in a new good day. You get tended to them that in a true day. Hakubiarva. Did Kitchen Queen, she to a marriage silver. To jet the she give matubati. You would she give matubati to jet. Did I not near to a married the church you think every? Just you could she give me the dandy in the HSCD. Dandy, dingy. nyuguti 주시래. 다 nyuguti 인바디 니 초주 두시게. 다 nyuguti 인발 규제디 야야 삼발을 때니 nyugu라 심여도 또 투나. 아니 뒤도 정해 시게. 제사다디 인지 세야디 말한지 남주 삼단기야리 주시디에 삼단기야리 규제디에 삼단기야리 초주의 제대 단위디야 말와 이사다 문주기 누구럽디는 지그라시 두버레스 누구라시 두버레스디 아지기디는 라시 두 마리스 디 누구티 주시리 누구티라 시구만 말에 땡데려 봐시디 라시기 맞추게 누구라 시기 맞추게 그전에 땡데고 이게 초주디 이네 초주디 이네 누구라 시기 내버티 두제디 이제 아디 성주 초주에서 시에서나 초주에서 말한지 초주에서 단위 맞아요 미슈지 초주에 대주 단계야래 지제제에서 지제지 말에 지제제를 봐서 그게 좀 초주에 유전티 그게야래 어디 갈 때도 초주에서 예전에는 단위 따버려 이 단위디 미셔지기 말한지 저번에도 지지 저번에 봤을 저번에도 뭐 지기 이번에 지치인데 지금 많이 배도 지치게로 어디다 규제 그지게 다티듯이 누구를 지제 지그라신 게 두번 있으려 지그라 주도 말고 규제 때도 저번에 때는 주화를 봤을 때 초조도
And so we have this expression, the property of the subject. And although it might be a term that's unfamiliar to us, actually, in terms of what it means, we're using it all the time. So, for example, I'll explain that as I'm going along. In the Chittamatra system, they would say that the sprout is truly existent and that it exists by its own nature. We would say it's empty of that very same thing. The sprout is empty of true existence and it's empty of existing by its own nature. So the sprout, in this context, would be the let's say the basis of discussion. It's the thing that we're discussing about in ordinary terms. Anyway, it's the basis of debate or the basis of the argument. And so we would say it's not truly existent. And we would say, why is it not truly existent? Because it's a dependent arising. So dependent arising would be the sign, the sign, logical sign. And this is actually, when we say it's not truly existent, doesn't exist by its own nature because it's dependent arising. So that, when we say it's a dependent arising, that's actually established for them. In other words, the property of the subject is established for them. The property of the subject is the sprout being a dependent arising. They accept that the sprout is a dependent arising. So for them, the property of the subject is established. And they do ascertain that they do ascertain the property of the subject because they do ascertain that the sprout is a dependent arising. So then we say it's the sprout is not truly existent, non-existent by its own nature because it's dependent arising. So the dependent arising is the sign. It's also, we could say that the denzig is like the reasoning to prove that that sprout, which is the base of the argument or base of discussion, doesn't exist. It doesn't exist truly. And so, even though they have, for them, the property of the subject is established, and they do they have certainty about that. They do gain certainty about that. They don't accept, of course, that the sprout is not truly existent. They say it's truly existent. They say it exists by its own nature. So when they reflect again and again, when they reflect repeatedly on the way that the sprout is a dependent arising, and therefore, the idea that therefore it should be empty of true existence, empty of existing by its own nature, then eventually they will come to understand that because it's a dependent arising, it must be empty of true existence. It must be empty of existing by its own nature. In that case, they will have gained certainty about the thesis. So the thesis is a technical term to refer to the idea that the sprout is not truly existent. So again, then there are some that would say that the sprout is not empty of true existence. There are some that would say it is empty of existence. So the sprout is the basis of the discussion, or the, I guess in normal English we would say like the subject of the discussion. Then when we say because it's a dependent arising, so the sprout being a dependent arising, that's the property of the subject. And the sprout being empty of existing by its own nature, that would be the thesis, the trukja, so that which is to be proven. Again, we may not be, this may be a term that we're not familiar with, when we say property of the subject and so on, and sign and so on, but we're using, in terms of the meaning, it's something we're very familiar with. Because we're always saying, oh, it's this because of that, or it's not like this because of this reason. So it's something that we're very familiar with, but here simply we're just maybe not familiar with the term. No.
Yeah. That is that's suicide yugushasuna. Suicide yugushasuna. That suicide yugushane jabati kareresne. Rashig Dugaris, Rashig Matugaris, Tijabimba. Jabak City Yugudisha. Jig Rashig Dugaris, Jig Rashig Matugaris, Labarba. This Jatani, Tujati, Rashig Matuba, Yugurashig Matubati, Tujasi. Jig Yugurashig Dugaris, Jiggy, Ani Rashig Matugaris. Rashing might to be a cook, Rashing map. The Rashing map, but to be a good, Gudenti, Dendiba. Just at that, to get the Karisha would listen, you would have seen the map to Cheshire. The name to jiggy the party, Dendi. Dendi. Frangi, Dendi in the Rashi may be kept calendar. The Cavadi, she kept said. Dendi in the Rashi may be Cavadi cook calendar, Susubi. Rashi Mabare Caris, Dendi was Levereva. Dendi la Rashi may be kept part in the Guinea calendar. Jacob said, that Jacob the true set it under Prangi Tendil regime be Kebati Tendil regime be Kebaton, Tunito to be. In a that Tosa ship Pena, Melunangi Suni, and she is Lavina. Melunangi Suni Tento. Rashi Tendil regime be Kebatos. It to toy Lela Bimber. Then, you could choose it and made it in the chairs, the Jerva. 나디 초주디 지차수나 두제디 지차수나 나 덴델라레 심메베 캬바디 델리 지켑스제 덴델라레 심메베 캬바디 다디 캬바 예서들이 지겹들 준비해야지 안타쿠 배치 샤우르 덴델라레 심메베 캬바디 캬다 가르즈네 베너스미시스 면론하기 중심스미시스 면론하기 중심스미티 라시 메바티 하구야 그런데 그래서 그래 면론하기 중심스미티 진심도 나야 진심도 맞추겠지 그하고가 제시도 숨니티 제시도 나야 제시도 매점바티 그하고야 나저 하고 봐 디쿠 펠코네 나노나 제시도 숨니 텐도 텐델 테네 차바니스 that is 지리 알레틴지도 다들 주시디체 저바티를 야 주시디 요구제 아니 아니 요구라 신기 매바티 좀제제 좀제인가 요구라 신기 매바티 좀제제네 뒤 주지기 리버트 가를 땡지디제 다들 주시제, 주제제, 초주하고서는 다들 지겹도 접수해야지.
Okay, so we've got the sprout. Yeah, anyway, the sprout, which is the basis of the argument. What's the argument? So some are saying it's not truly existent. Some are saying it is truly existent. So that's the argument, or the debate. Then the thesis, the drupja, that which is to be proven. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's thesis. Yeah, thesis. So that would be the sprout not existing by its own nature, or not established by its own nature. The reason, dependent arising, because it's dependent arising, we would say, right? So, in other words, what would be the logical reasoning that is proving that? In other words, proving that the sprout doesn't exist by its own nature. That would be dependent arising. So now there's another term to look at, which is so here what we're saying. You know, this whole reasoning relies on the fact that if it's a dependent arising, it's necessarily empty of existing by its own nature, or in other words, it necessarily does not exist by its own nature. So that's what we call, some people call it the entailment, some people call it the pervasion. So I'll use the word pervasion. It's a pretty common standard term here. And so when we say, so when we talk about pervasion, actually there's two types of pervasion. There's the jekyap, which is literally the subsequent pervasion. I don't know why it's called that, but anyway, it's called the subsequent pervasion. And then there's another one which also will come up. But we're looking at this one first of all, the jekyap, the subsequent pervasion. So that would be, if it's a dependent arising, it has to be empty of existing by its own nature. Because we've said it's empty of existing by its own nature because it's dependent arising. So it should be the case that if it's a dependent arising, it's empty of existing by its own nature, right? So now, in order for this reasoning to work, the person should have already realized emptiness. But what that means is in terms of an example where it's easier to understand. So you would say the subject, the sprout, is empty of existing by its own nature, or doesn't exist by its own nature because it's dependent arising. Like, for example, the reflection of a face in a mirror. So it's easy to understand that the emptiness of existing by its own nature in the case of a reflection of a face in a mirror. So whenever we use an example, it should be something which is easier to understand the process. So you've understood it on that thing which is easy, and then you use that to understand it in the context of the sprout being empty of true existence because of being dependent arising. So when we say if it's a dependent arising, it has to be empty of existing by its own nature. That's the subsequent pervasion. And you, besides that, you also need what's called, again, the technical term is a concordant example. So you could have a discordant example, concordant example. A concordant example. In other words, it's an example, or an analogy might be a better word, that illustrates the point. So, so you would say, if it's a dependent arising, it has to be empty of the existing by its own nature, like, for example, the reflection of a face in a mirror. So a person who realizes, as we do, that even though there is an appearance of a face in the mirror, it's not actually a face. So that means that you've understood that it doesn't exist by its own nature. So in other words, you realize that that reflection appears to be a face, but it's not actually a face. So you use that as an example. So again, then we've got the base of the debate or the argument, which is the sprout in this case. Then you've got the thesis, which would be the sprout being not being the sprout not existing by its own nature, and then that would and what proves that, the proof would be dependent arising. So anyway, although we haven't had an explanation yet, so as I mentioned, there are two pervasions, right? You've got the subsequent pervasion, which is the jika, which is what I've just explained. Then there's also the dokya, which is the reverse pervasion.
That's jika. That tended the capacity to Demi Chabate Tanda Chava. You wouldn't get to be a Mary. Chividi. Dendela Demi Chabati, you wouldn't do Nina, that to Jing Etarava. You wouldn't do Kotu You wouldn't do you would change the Babet in the Chisco. Tanda to Jamato, Naruto, Dendela Demi Chabati, and you wouldn't get to be a Mary. Takaris in a Dendela Demi Chabati, Chigam needed Dendela Demi Chabaraji, near where. In Yeta, but when a milum give mission is enough. Milum give me the Mil no Nashi, Mil Matubati, Totugruva. Naraja Totugru, son. Dendi la Demi Chabati, Karate and Mason China, Chojang. Dendi la Demi Chabde Pena, Milumgi, Nations. Milum give me eating too. Dendile they make it cavani. Not dendile they make it cavani, Yamaritanda. meeting meeting tendile temi chibangi.
Meeting to the
Ah,
meeting to the tendel the temiki kaba. Yeah. Chidanda
Milungi meeting.
Milangimi.
Milungi meeti me imbati. Mahimbati net wearba. Milungi meeting Milungi shevala milangi erba. Nani yang Milungi meeting mit matubati haku wearba munchu. Tiko way center. Tendi in the temi chabati. Milungi meeting to ne. Tendi la temi chabati. You get it to me to your maratanda. That did she give me, see.
So you have we're saying if it's dependent arising, it has to be non-truly existent. So that's the pervasion, and this is something which the so again, as we take it on the Chigo, so like the later disputant is called the person you're trying to prove it to is called the later disputant, or former latter, later disputant, and so they haven't realized it yet. In order to help them to realize it, you supply them with a the concordant example. So and they realize the pervasion on that example, but they haven't realized it on the sprout yet. Once they realize it on the sprout, then they would have they realized the forward pervasion. Sorry, not forward pervasion, the subsequent pervasion. So you could say, in order to establish this subsequent pervasion for that person, you could use the example of a person in a dream person in a dream. So, in other words, what's going on here with the dream person is you've got the dream person appears to be an actual person, right? The person in the dream appears to be an actual person, but we know that it's not an actual person. We can realize that. So when you've realized, what this means is that you can, because of that being easy to understand, you can understand that that if it's a dependent, you can realize that this pervasion, if it's a dependent arising, it has to be non-truly existent on that example. But that doesn't mean to say that you've realized it on the pervasion on the sprout. So you haven't yet realized the subsequent pervasion on the sprout. You've realized the pervasion with the dream person, and you can use that. It's a concordant example that's helps you to understand the actual pervasion on the sprout, but you haven't realized that yet. When you have realized it, then you would have you would be said to have realized the subsequent pervasion. Nyugu tendu jehati. Nyugu ki tendu ani the tende yena the temi kawina. Teni the jehap ngesade. Tujeng ngesade.
Nyugu tendu tende le temi kawina tujeng ngesade.
Tuja.
Tuja timba.
Kawina mase ani the tuja.
Di di tuja de karesine nyugu temi timba. Nyugu temi ti tujeng. That tendile temi chabati nyugu tendu gena tujeng ngesade. Tati chibi yanda mari.
No.
Ko chibi yanda mari chibi tana jus. Tuja to chadu.
No.
Ko chibi yanda ligi marba.
No.
That jasane teuna chaba ngesade kare tendu nyegure chijab ngesade churi tendu. Churi ti tendi ne temi chatti tendi le temi chaba ngesade ta chunju kunalarba ta tendi ba chunju di Demirva.
No, Tujo, Lalada.
Tujo Konali Ivanivati, Tati, Peti. Dendi, Demi Chapati, Pena, Melangi missions, Pumetations, Pumegita Tentu, Pumegita di Tendiva, Tendice, Tendi, and Pumeta Tarnashi, no, Tar Mevati, ye together. The Senatati Metimber Chinevre, Metimbating is the Kagayare, Temba Maris, Temba Maris, till Charayare, Melangi Miti, Temba Maris, Melangi Miti, Mirnaya, Mir Temba Maris, deep Parko Duvere, Tendila, Temigi Chabang City. Melangi Mission City, Melangi Miti Tendiva. Melangi Miti Mir Naya, Mir Tembar Marva. What did some Jingy here? Tended the Temi Chavang said, Chikab Man. Chikab need to Jamani go to the city. Tended the Temi Chavang city. Melangi Miti to me. Melangi needed to Niena, Melangi Miti Tembame never Vesena. The Marisuri.
No.
Melangi Miti Mirnaya, Miri Metimatoi. Tigi Temba Messiati. Ku Tendi Ku Temba Messiati. Mirnaya, Miri Temba Mevati Toveris. Ne Melangi Meti Temba Meva Temi Toveris in Tia Mari. Melangi Metemi Donate Nito. That a petty is.
So, like you can, we can say, you can use the example of the dream person or person in dream. You could also use the example of an illusory horse. So the illusory horse is actually a dependent arising, and so it appears to be a horse, but it's not actually a horse, and therefore you can understand that it's not truly a horse in the way that it appears. But now here there's an important point, because when we say not true, there are different levels of that. More superficial levels of not being true, and more subtle levels of not being true. So that, for example, when you realize that the dream person, which is a dependent arising, that it appears to be an actual person but isn't truly a person, you realize that it's not truly a person. But that doesn't mean to say that you realize non-true existence on that dream person. You've simply realized that it's not truly a person. And then, so you can use that for, understanding the idea that the sprout isn't truly existent. No.
Yeah, that is just the Naribachi in the Abuel Takaresina did this kind of Nuguchi, Nuguti, Yamari, Karis, Tendi, Rashing Matubari, Karis, Tendi, City Taguber. And sometimes you would be rushing to windows, Karis, and Tendi to us. This Susukubiarity, Tagubiarity, Dindi and that which could be near Dindi and then tiny to share Yamar Papa. Susu did what is an it 电机研的股员，这个电机研的股就怎么，电机的电机节，主角的电面的节，最细的或者最细的有个地节，在了这个国家的这个的跟这个有个人是个这个人是这个节。这怕主要的主角的个人是的有人是这个马里是的这个是主角的有个人是没有地节，主角的的地节，那这个超主节、主席节、主角节，主角的有个人是没有地节，主角决定要点到没有的。主角的去个人下生的点把没问题的意思。主角是对点把你做题，就是的主角去你做这个主强是就是可能讲不得了，有不得了，就是是主角去点把没问题了，主角去是呢。就是的，主角你错不得了，主角去你错不得了，主角是你不点把没把是呢，主角是，主角去这，那大是呢的，有个点把没把主角，就这的吧，就这的大是的。你大国写的是决定看就讲的决定这个吧，这些技术，这个点的是了，这个点马的是了，这个买一百多几这个吧，这是大事业。这位讲是的，你看这位讲这个来这个马的事业，这个买一百多这个吧，这是大事业，大。决定了大事业。
So yeah, one thing from before I just remembered. So the thing is that when that we talk about the later disputant, right? So the to be the correct later disputant for this in this context, it would have to be somebody that hasn't realized that the sprout is not truly existent, right? So the person shouldn't have realized that. When they have realized it, they're no longer a correct disputant for this argument anymore, because they've already realized the point. It should be somebody that hasn't realized it. So then we say the sprout is the new churches. So the sprout is like the subject. We usually call it the subject term usually used. Then we say is not truly existent or doesn't exist by its own nature. And the reason, because of being dependent arising. So actually, when we think that to ourselves, then that we're using correct reasoning and correct science. When we think to ourselves, when we think to ourselves, oh, this sort of sprout, it's not true. It doesn't exist truly. Why doesn't it truly exist? Because it's dependent arising. So we're using a correct reason when we're going through this process, to ourselves. So then the basis of the argument is the sprout. Then the argument that's being made is it exists by its own nature. And we would say the subject, the sprout, doesn't exist by its own nature because it's a dependent arising. And the sprout not being truly existent, that's the thesis, the thing which is being proved. And so when you talk about the thesis, actually it's a combination of two things. The first thing is the basis of the argument, which is the sprout. Then the other thing, this is a new term, the thing which is being proved. Okay. Well, actually, if we use the normal English terms, we would use the expression predicate. you got subject and predicate, right? The subject and predicate together make the thesis. So the subject, in other words, which is the base of the argument, the sprout. The predicate is not existing by its own nature. Those two together, the subject and predicate together, the sprout, it doesn't exist by its own nature. And that's the thesis. And what you're using to prove that is the sign or the reason, dependent arising. So when we talk about sign, so it means the same as reasoning. It's just like when people are, I don't know, like when they go to court, for example, and they bring a case to court, and so you've got this one thing that's the base of the argument, and one side is saying it's this, and the other side is saying no, it's not, it's this. So and then they're each using their own reasoning to prove their point. So it's like that. No.
That's it. That comes to get to me. She invent to Chile, Pema Bukuba. Frank Krisha to Jetty, the Gentile, Pema Bukuba, Chumbisiari, Dinale, Teddy in the regime, Chava, Yesel, Chumbiti, the Gurba, Timmy, Yellow, when at the Mangi could do could. Then I didn't see it. Come to get this cigarette. If the Tumbi to Gugarva, Cranky to Yagi, Choati, did a Tumbagi, Belmont to Gugarva, till the Tumbi cigarette, just a Chavan never went to that. Taji, not the Teddy in the resume maybe Cabayaris, Caress, Milan Gimishin, such a detail. That they could Chavan Yagi, Yalal. Till Ralph Chile. Chabating is the Chujera Paching to young age. Did the Chibaritas Dilepat Tartar and Krupan Rubierba? What till a Chumbi cigarette? That in the
So really, it's just like normally when we're arguing about something. A person will be, what each side will be trying to prove something, and they'll give all sorts of examples and analogies for proving their point. And those examples and analogies, those are all what we call tumbe, or the concordant examples. So in other words, prior to ascertaining the pervasion, you use different examples and analogies to, get to gradually come to the point where you can realize the pervasion, that you need for that argument. And so the thing is that there will be, more subtle, more superficial examples, and you gradually use examples which are more and more subtle until you come to the point where you can understand the pervasion in the context of that argument. So using the example of or analogy of a dream person, and so you would get the pervasion on a sort of superficial level based on that analogy, and then you can move on to something more subtle and so on.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, Jordan should have the dingy chatanji, singing the issue dingy. The chatanji, Juna Yabdua, Nico didn't make you drink any tea. Dear,
so anyway, I think it's useful to understand these terms and how the reasoning and logic works, because then when we come across it in the text, then you'll have more of an idea of what's going on. So we'll be, from now on, we'll be doing more of that. And then for the time being, are there any questions? So if you understand the three modes in the context of one logical argument, you'll be able to apply that to all arguments.
Now I am a little bit confused. Truly existent.
Join the club.
Truly existent and existent with its own nature is that two different things? I thought they are synonymous.
Dendrup down the Ranji Chipa Maraves.
Thank you, Bellu Chibari. Rangi Bellu Chiba Mari. Jambatu Mass here, Rangi Belli. Rashi to a year here. Nikala Chisuna. Thank you, Bellu Chinata. Jambatuna, Rashi to
Raji Dumna the
Rashi to the Tempatu.
So in the Prasangiga system, they're the same thing, really. If it's because for them, if it exists by its own nature, it has to be truly existent. Now, in the Swatantrika system, no, they're completely different. They say that there's nothing which is truly existent, but they also say that everything does exist by its own nature.
So what do they mean then? Truly existent?
The Rangibusana need the Kebayores, Sungdua, the Kebakarilores.
That is Rangi Belula Ramune Tuba Sati Karasuguri. Tambatuba Sati, Tambatuba Chena, Lon Melana Shabama, you and the two mind but you live to Munetubati, Tambatuba Siri. Leon Shabama, you and the two mind but you live to Munetubatilla, Tambatuba Siri. The Yamari Siri. You and the two mind but you live to Munetubati Yamari Karasina. Le Shabata, you go to Munetuba, Nito Kubiari Siri. Just a year and the two mind, Tambatuna, you and the two mind but you live to Munetuba. Yeah, marriage. Ramona to Bati Yaris. You do want to be Yaris. In a temple, never said in Gacha the carriage and temple, the regular Gacha the carriage. You and the two mind with you wanted to Bati Gacha Tamusha. Take you only you can win it to the Gacha Tamusha. Two mind versus so married. You can win it to the gadget is. Rangi Bellu, you can win it to the Yaris. You run the two may be deluded win it to the Yamanis.
So the Rangi Bilulata Lonumila now Shabaya,
you run it to my mind
the Kachara. The cousin Nija killing to send the Lonome, the Nawe Shabaya, and it Rangi to Bayan. But the killing dollar.
Oh,
according to this Swatantrika system, okay, so they say that the things do exist from their own side, and they say they are not truly existent. So what does let's look at the true existence for them, first of all. For them, truly existent means existing from the side of its own unique way of being, without being posited through appearing to a non-defective or unmistaken non-defective consciousness. So what they say is that so they don't refute existing by its own nature. They refute existing uniquely by its own nature, existing by its own unique way of being means that. So the thing is that they say that things have exist. They have two ideas. They talk about two things. They say the thing exists through appearing, or sorry, is posited through appearing to a non-defective consciousness, and exists from its own side. If you say exists through its own unique way of being without being posited through appearing to a non-defective consciousness, that would be the object of negation for them. Whereas for the Prasangika system, they don't need to add on unique way of being. They existing from its own uniquely from its own side. just saying exists from its own side is enough for them. That's to be the object of negation. So the thing is that what that means is that in this expression, existing by its own unique way of being, what that means is like just existing from its own side. In other words, just existing from its own side, without existing also through being posited through appearing to a non-defective consciousness. You need to have both.
So to them, things do exist, but we see different things because our defective mind, each of us. But there's something real there. We just don't see the real thing. Is that what this South do?
So you're thinking that what this means is there is really something there, but it appears in different ways because of defective mind. But she said positive through appearing to a non-defective mind, right? Yeah.
If it's truly existence, non-defective mind will see something new.
For something to exist, it has to be positive through appearing to a non-defective mind and exist from its own side. That's what she said. Yeah. So you still have the same question.
Right.
Okay. Tadi the coordinate kubidos the because the low numela now shabba mayinba and yurangi tone with during an intubasati. Chida rangibe lula and the chingunela the chick jordis and inayam the so because similar to tube wongi and the kaka in the nangidos. This could guess. No messiati.
Lo messiati. Lo melana wishes. Randena, material, lo messiati.
La.
Rangitini, you prove now a challenge material lotilla. Lo messiati. Just Rangitini, you prove now a challenge material logic shower is.
Now a chala. Maneuver.
Tell no messiati. Rangitini, you do another channel material. Just think you better Rangitini to be Nala, Nala Chala, Chubasonba. The Yamari. Rangibel Dalo Limiti, Rangitini, you matuba, Navi Chala, and Rangitini to another channel material. The only Shabichikuya is Lotemasiati. Or the no Nemilan Pashabat, urine. You do want to be near to be. The Maiba, no Numen Shaba Maiba, you will win it to a chan that will catch a cigarettes.
Lone Mesati lost Semachi cook.
Rangitini, the Lord Semachi.
And you sing it to burn now a chala mature.
Lotilla, Lord Nemesi.
So actually what a non-defective or is like a faultless mind or a non-defective mind or consciousness means is one which is not mistaken from the part of appearing inherently existent. So not mistaken in the appearance of the thing as inherently existent. So for them, a non-mistaken mind, which would have to be a valid mind, or an ideal mind, valid mind, would have to have that characteristic. So it's positive to appear to such a mind, a valid mind which is not mistaken to the appearance of inherent existence. So obviously in the Prasangika system, that wouldn't be a faultless mind because as soon as it would have to be a mistaken mind. Because as soon as the thing is appearing to be inherently existent, then that must be a mistaken mind.
What you just said was the Svatatra.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the meaning of that's the meaning of a non-defective mind or non-mistaken mind according to the Svatantrika system. Yeah.
Look, Shay, in this example that you gave for
the debate form, like what is the basis, the argument, the thesis. So in this one, I understand it's just an example.
What is an example?
The example
Of
of
the
the
sprout.
sprout
Yeah,
not existing by its own nature.
yeah.
This is a prasangika's viewpoint. They would argue from this perspective. Yeah. What would the other schools use as their argument, and what would the concordant examples be in there?
That not so pena the new church in Ranjigi Mete, and it didn't which yet pena Milamgi Minajis, chicks Sundwa. That did it thank you below the Tigerala.
Really?
The Rangubilla the dark and dark tenzik good and candis gogeres, and it Tumbela Karishagres.
The density, Rayubaluna, which is the environment is standing in the chair. And as we said, very good that she would it.
No. Well, for the Swatanric system, they would simply say the subject, the sprout, is not truly existent because it's dependent on arising, like, for example, the reflection of a face in a mirror. And so, in other words, as far as the concordant examples are concerned, exactly the same as with the present geekers, which is exactly the same one, to illustrate that it's not truly existent rather than illustrate that it's not, in other words, in the proof of non-truly existent rather than in the proof of not existent by its own nature.
Marado the now and I see don't need now that never don't need to be soon dear. Penamelonang Jinshi Suni said it. Melonang Jinshin Suniti, Jinshin to Nangiarity, Jinshin to Madruva, Jinshin Suniti, Jinshin Senator Dondre. Digo Suniti and it could finally shouting it around the Dons 9 years. Donna now rated Pigna Jinshin Suniti, Donna now rated Don Marba. Medical Jinshin Suni, she is in the Jinshin Suniti, 9 to Jinshin to Nangiaris. The Mabating Manage how to do it. Melangi missing it. Meeting about my particular how to wear. In a Chunagi Dawashi is in the Chunagi Dawati, Dawat Nangiarity, Chunagi Dawati Dawa Marba. What you met him to wear, that was kind of a coming. You can let you go Naranjugi, now at the Metimberchi and Chitimbanam to Tunigi. You know, betting that you couldn't get it. Chumbila.
With the I don't know whether it's better to say example or analogy, but anyway, in the when the analogy is stated, it could be the reflection of a face in a mirror. So the thing is that you have the reflection, which appears to be the face, even though it's not the face. Like also, you could use the example or analogy of the reflection of a moon in water. So there's the reflection there, it appears to be the moon, it's not actually the moon. So any of these would be appropriate in the case of a person who can understand, depending on those, that the things aren't really the way that they appear to be.
Yeah, that is an
So I think we can stop there. Lucy's wound up.
yeah.
撒些别给
就是没到查理让林吉尼的
三月星空的在我里，
这个南大兴啊，这个古罗拉那门的拉干的亚达呀。
What is the game?